So what are we getting ready for?
We are getting ready for another potty interview. I'm kind of nervous about it, but I think it's going to be really good. I feel like people are going to love it. I don't think I'm going to hold back with my question. Like, we need to be a little unhinged today. I'm going to chug this. So cheers. Is the fit fitting?
The fit is fitting.
She's a professional girl. It's the Prada shoes. I need to put some gum in because I have coffee breath. She's going to open the door and be like, actually, you can't come in because your breath smells so disgusting.
Deb.
I feel like I know you. No, I'm literally obsessed with you. I'm not going to be able to focus on anything but your boobs.
That's what I said too. Hi, how are you doing?
So nice to meet you.
Nice. Hey.
You are so stinking cute. You ready?
Not ready.
The following episode contains sensitive topics of suicide that could potentially trigger emotional distress or discomfort. Please listen with caution. Remember, it's okay to take a break or skip the episode if needed. Hi guys, welcome back to Cheers. I'm your host, Avery Woods. I have a very special guest today, Miss Taylor Paul. We love you.
Really?
We're obsessed with you. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with you.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
I'm honored.
So for those that don't know who you are, give just a quick little intro of Taylor.
Okay, well, my name's Taylor Paul, and I am a mom of 2 and pregnant with my 3rd.
Yay, congrats.
Thank you. I recently just got divorced, and I'm with my now boyfriend, Dakota, and we've been dating for a little over a year. And, I mean, some people might know, but it's been the worst year of my life, and it's been a lot of learning and growing, and I'm from Colorado.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, okay.
So not born and raised in Utah, but we did move over here when I was in high school. Yeah, and just had a lot of learning lessons this last year.
Mm-hmm. And I had told you one of the reasons I wanted you on here is because in my eyes, you're probably the most upfront, honest influencer I've ever known. Where, like you said, it's been the hardest year of your life. You've gone through so much this year, but you've been so honest when you didn't have to be, going through all this stuff where you've really opened up about these struggles, and not only for you, but for your family and your marriage and all this controversy that was blasted all over the internet without your consent, and also just like really like blew up your world, and you were the first to own it and say, I learned this lesson, I've changed, I've moved on, and I'm trying to better my life for me and my kids.
Yeah.
Which I just respect so much, because that's so hard to do in the public eye.
Yeah, it was. And I think I went into it without a choice, really. Like, a lot of people say, well, you did this to yourself, you came out to yourself, and I did, but like to a point where like I feel like I just had to like explain what was going on and why. And I felt that it was justified to do so. And, you know, things are talked about you want to kind of give like a bigger picture of the story. Yeah. And thank goodness I did, because I just didn't want to be known as like this backstabbing friend, you know? And so I'm like, it's not how it went. Did I do like something awful? Yes. But like, that's not who I am. Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to just like explain that. So it all started there. It's been hell since.
Yeah. So this situation that we're talking about, and I told Taylor that I was never following like the mom talk drama, and I wasn't really educated about this stuff, and I don't like to do a lot of research before I interview someone on the podcast, because I like to learn as we go and like learn about you as a person and just kind of have a conversation and talk about it naturally. But for those that aren't aware, prior to your divorce, you were a part of this like mom talk group, which I think a lot of them are still your friends. Yeah. And stuff came out about you guys being swingers. Yeah. How did that all like come about and kind of become public?
So we were all, it was a big friend group, like mom talk, and it was honestly like just our community coming together. We all did the same thing. You know, I made a lot of really good friends and relationships with that. But I had like another friend group, and we were like, that's when we were up to like no good. And one day everything just came out on the internet saying, oh, I was like on my phone, it was like, did Taylor cheat on her husband? Did Taylor cheat on her husband? And then, you know, people confirmed it. And so there was only a few of us that knew. So I knew that it came from my friend group. Whoever, I think it was like telephone, right? Someone told someone, but it came from our friend group because no one knew. It was like the next day, and I was like, holy shit. And I was like, all they're going to know is Taylor's a backstabbing friend that went after her friend's husband. And I was like, that's just not the case. Like, what was built up to that? Do I think it's okay? No. Do I think what I did was right? No. But when you're being intimate with a whole bunch of people, feelings to be caught, I would say that's when you're playing with fire, you're going to get burned. And so it wasn't just me. I mean, there was like 3 out of the 6 that caught feelings. So, sorry, it's like it's like going back to it and like kind of like reliving the situation.
It's a lot.
So yeah, and everything came out, and then, you know, people confirmed that it was happening, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to come out and say the story. It's hard because did I have a right to come out and release their stuff? Maybe not, but I felt that I was because they came out and like either told someone, you know, and people confirmed it. So it wasn't fair that they did that to me.
Yeah, because you were the only person being targeted out of this group and basically being blamed for cheating on your husband, but it was really a whole group involved. But were you the only one being targeted at that point, which is why you came out saying, well, hold on, we were all kind of involved together?
Yeah, and that's where it got messy, is because I said mom talk.
Sure.
And 99% of them weren't involved, so they were all freaking the fuck out. And that's where it was like, we didn't do this, like, and everyone was like, oh, it was messy how I did it, but I either had to do that or I had to say who was involved, and I felt like saying those names didn't feel right for me either. Both was wrong. If I could go back and do it differently, I 100% would. But I don't know how else I would have said that without saying people's names. And
for
just
sure.
ratting them out.
Yeah. So you were married to your now ex-husband. You have 2 kids. And you were in a group where you guys were doing like swinger type activities.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like kind of like a broad term because we were just, it all started very like, I don't want to say innocent, but like, that was never the intention. It was more like we were partying. Then the guys just started saying, hey, let me make out with the girls. And I mean, I've partied before, so I didn't think it was anything weird. So I was like, okay. So all the, like, some of us girls started to make out. And then it turned into like thousands of dollars being spent on cabin parties, like, because they knew that's what was going to happen. It was spicing up, you know, our sex lives, I think, in everyone's individual marriage. And then started making out in the same beds. And then we started taking pictures in lingerie. And then everything just like escalated every party. We never full on, I think I've talked about this, like never full on had sex and switched.
So you never had sex with another person outside of your marriage at that time? Or was it just
swinging? Like,
okay.
Not with like the group setting,
Got
but
it.
like I had the affair. So yes.
Oh, okay.
That was one night that I messed up, and we were all partying that night, drinking, and I was filled with guilt because I had an emotional. Was going on emotionally. And
so this affair that you're talking about, was this like separate from these parties or groups that you were intimate with someone else, or was it during like a party?
It was like the same people.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I was hanging out with them every weekend.
Okay.
And then we created this crush, and then we were intimate all together. So like it didn't help the situation, if that makes sense. Like it was all very messy.
Yeah.
And then I was feeling lots of guilt and like feeling horrible. Like I would think I was like 90 pounds. I was like sick. If I look back at those, I'm like, look so ill. And like my videos. And then, so I one night just was like, there was another mess that happened that day. Like rumors about another husband having feelings, and so that got brought up, and I was like, we were all denying it, like everyone was denying everything,
and so that was that the person that you had feelings for as well?
This is someone else.
Okay.
So he came out and he was like, hey, I have feelings for you. And so one of the wives found out, confronted me about it, and like the whole friend group was like, deny. And at that point I knew this was shit. Everything was shit. I was like, I feel like a horrible person inside. I feel like a horrible friend. Like, let's just come out and be honest. And then it was just, and then so we finally came to the house to like get together, and I just take shots because I'm like, in pure misery. Like, I wanted to, like, just numb. And I black out most of that night. And that was the night I messed up and everything went to shit.
And was your ex-husband there with you at that party, or were you by yourself?
Everyone was at that party in the
Okay.
friend group at the time.
Got it.
I left to another friend's house, and then one of the other husbands wanted to come pick me up. Came and picked me up, and it was just really bad. It's hard to talk about because it's just so,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever in depth like.
No, I understand. And take your time too.
But yeah, and so that's where it all went to shit. I mean, my husband confronted me the next day and was like, did anything happen? Like, and I was like, no, like trying to deny it. And I just feeling so sick inside. And then finally that day I came clean.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like I messed up. And that is one of the worst days of my life because I saw the hurt and pain in my ex. And, it was very traumatic. That was a very traumatic day. Like, all the feelings I was feeling, I saw him go through pain, and then obviously like, our whole friend group's freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because that just came out. Other stuff came out. Like, it just got messier and messier, and then...
Was anything public at that time yet?
Not this day.
Okay.
No, I think it came out, if not 2 days later.
Because one of the people from the friend group was telling other people, and then kind of word spread.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think all the friends heard that story and was like, oh, fuck Taylor, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't blame them when you're hearing that. Like,
Totally.
And so everyone hated me. I don't think I had a single friend at that during that time.
Yeah.
And not that they were mean or anything. I think they just were like, I don't blame anyone for not wanting to be your friend. So I get it.
And they probably just wanted to stay away from the mess.
Yeah.
And kind of just let you take the blame because they're like, I do not want to be involved with this. It's got way too messy.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially for the people not involved, right? Like, their lives were also being picked at, and like, are you a swinger? And they weren't. And so, I mean, I understand where a lot of them are coming from. And then one of my friends at the time came to me, and she was like, I feel like something about the story is just not making sense. I feel like it's sus, and so I'm just here to listen to your side. And so I gave her the rundown.
Which is so nice.
Yeah.
For someone to actually be like, I want to listen to what you have to say. Because everyone's blaming you. But like, can you actually tell me from your side?
Yeah. And so I sat her down. I mean, I told her the story. And it's not a story you want to like brag or flex about. Like, I was a villain in the story. So it's like, it sucks to throw myself under the bus. But like, I told her everything. And she was like, whoa, that is not what we were just told at all. And so she's like, I feel like lied to by the other side, blah, blah, blah. And so...
Can you explain what they were told? Like, what were they saying?
They weren't really involved.
They were denying their parts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I didn't really do anything. Taylor was instigating a lot of it. Taylor did this, Taylor did that. And I'm just like, what? Like, yes, I was involved but I didn't make anyone do anything. Like,
sure.
Anything, you know, from substance to kissing someone else to participating in these games, nothing. And so I felt that it was like annoying that they put it all on me, and that's just not what happened. And so I kind of just like explained that, and then she went and told a lot of the girls, and so they're all like, yeah, that does not make sense, and it was unfair that we were lied to. So then they started to like to hang out with me and like understand more of the story. And again, I don't think was a good person in that situation at all, and I've like kind of learned and grown from that. But yeah, there was like just horrible rumors way off than things I was doing, like, and it sucks to hear that that's what was told, and like it makes me look like a way worse person than I was in the situation. But yeah, and so then I started to become friends with them, and then it created kind of like, there was just like two sides almost, like sides that were like with, you know, the other people, and then sides that were just like wanted to still be my friend. And so that kind of split us all off. And then now almost a year and a half later, we've all kind of been cordial. Things are settling down, which is really nice. And like, I feel like I'm friends with most of the people, at least if not friends, cordial.
Yeah.
Like, I'll see them and say hi and be nice, but...
Which is good to kind of like heal and move on. But like you said, when all this stuff was happening, I was never following the mom talk kind of drama. But I just remember everyone blaming you. Like, you were the entire root of this situation.
Yeah.
And I just felt for you in that because obviously being on social media, I know there's multiple sides to every story. And I just hated that everyone was so quick to blame you. And like you said, you weren't innocent with what you did, and you've owned that and grown and moved on from that.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, from a viewer's perspective has more of an open mind, I just felt for you. I felt empathy in that situation because I was like, everyone is coming for her and just saying the most horrible, nasty things as you're struggling with this other internal battle of yourself and your family, like, disintegrating.
Yeah.
And also all these people are saying these things about you that you don't have any consent to or aren't giving permission to. Like, people were speaking for you.
Yeah.
You know, which is so hard.
Right.
So once you came clean to your now ex-husband about what happened that night where you messed up, how did that go? Was it like immediately like, we're getting divorced, or did you try to work through it? What was that situation like?
Yeah. At the time, he was very angry and hurt. It's hard to believe, but I was a very honest person our entire marriage, like very open. Like, I told him, I feel like, a lot of things. Even up to that point, I was like, this person told me that they had feelings for me. I came home and told him right away. Even when me and that, the guy were texting, like, I was very open, like, we're kind of texting a lot. Is that kind of weird? Like, because all our friend group was texting. So I, like, was very, I feel like, honest in my marriage until up and, obviously that point.
Sure.
So I felt so awful for, like, betraying him. And I think he was in shock. He's like, you're, like, the most honest person. Like, I don't know how you did this to me. Like, how did you do this? We're so close. Like, we're open. We're honest. Like, and so his face is what I still, like, remember and have struggle with, like, in myself, is I hold on to so much pain with that. And, like, I guess fast forward, a couple days later, things kind of settled down. I think he also, after things kind of settled, he was like, he realized that what we were doing, and he was just like, oh, well, we open these doors. Not that it makes it okay, but, like, I don't know what I'm looking for when, like, I say that, but kind of back, like, if you're playing with fire, you get burned. So when you're, like, getting messy and being intimate with other people, like, I think he kind of thought, okay, yes, I hate her for doing this, but yes, I open these doors, so it's like,
and before this mistake was made that you made, like, both of you were actively participating together.
Yeah. And I mean, I've mentioned this before, it started more with the men, like, instigating it, like, so not that I blame them or anything, but, like, I think once you open those doors, maybe he thought to himself, like, well, yes, I hate her, but we were playing with fire.
Sure.
And so maybe he was a little bit more graceful with me, and he's very forgiving. Once things calmed down, we did have a talk. We're like, are we going to work this out? Or are we going to, like, in my mind, I felt like I knew it was done. And so.
Was that based off the way you felt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was done before all of that happened.
Oh,
like, I was
okay.
kind of checked out.
Okay.
So to me, I'm like, yes, we can work on it, but I also feel in my soul that, like, this is, like, done. And so it was hard to say that because you had just broken someone, right? And so I kind of felt very lost at that point. And so we're going to give it this summer and kind of see where things go. And then we kind of just, like, I think immediately started dating, like, other people.
Really?
I can't speak for him.
Yeah.
But for me, I, got back into the dating life. And then we actually, Dakota asked me to be his girlfriend the same day he asked his girlfriend to be his girlfriend. Like,
and you guys were still married?
Technically, but, like, we were going through, I think,
for sure,
the
like
divorce
a
process
separation
at this
okay.
point.
Got it.
So yeah, it kind of just fizzled slowly. I think maybe we told ourselves that to, like, maybe ease things, like, we'll see where things go, and maybe it did help us, but I think deep down we kind of both knew it was done. And so yeah, I met Dakota 2 months after all of that.
Dang.
So it was really fast.
Yeah.
And that's where things get kind of messy because I feel like my ex and I have been, like, really cordial with everything. and then Dakota and I started to date, and he wasn't honest up front, like, about certain things, and I asked him, like...
Dakota wasn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we had a rocky start. It was very gray.
Sure.
I'm in a process of divorce. I'm known as a swinger mom. Like, everything was so messy, so I have to kind of give him, like, grace for that time as well, because, like, we started rocking. He wasn't honest, and so the first thing I asked him was, like, I need honesty, like, because I'm starting fresh. That's what I want. And he wasn't, and... it made things hard, and I think I hold on to a lot of that pain, and I kind of blame him for a lot of pain I'm feeling over here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm focusing on something so small that happened, but I'm learning in therapy that it's really something much deeper than that, and I'm, like, focusing on this so maybe I don't have to feel this.
Sure.
And so I've kind of not blamed him, but focused on the pain from him. That's really probably not where the pain's coming from. And maybe it's easier to focus on that than actually the deeper stuff that I'm feeling in my own self.
Yeah.
And so we're learning that, and it's been the process, and I think that's why everyone has seen us like, oh, you guys are awful together. You're, like, fighting, and you guys aren't a good match. And it's really our own selves that we're not happy with that's making the relationship hard. But it sucks because I love him a lot, and we're so good together when we're good. But, you know, he has a past and his issues and his insecurities, and I have the same, and so it's been really hard to mix the two. It's more of timing.
Yeah.
The timing's been hard.
Yeah.
But when you let someone go, there's that huge risk of being like, oh, maybe another time we can try, but it's like you're going to risk losing them forever, and that's been something we haven't been willing to risk.
Yeah. So going back a little bit, do you feel like you and your ex-husband were rocky before the swinger situation?
Yeah.
Do you think you were, like, maybe looking for something to kind of spice it up or maybe try to improve your marriage when you guys were involved with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say it was dry.
Okay.
It was a dry marriage, and
Yeah.
so we did that. And I don't know if there was a wrong and right way to do it, but we went about it not right. I don't think we knew what we were doing. You know?
How long were you married in total?
6 years.
Okay. And he now has a baby with someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said he dated around the same time that you started dating Dakota. Was that with his now mom of his new baby?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. And that relationship, how is that? Like co-parenting and...
It's really good.
Good.
Yeah. We're all friends. We're all on the same page. Love her.
Good.
She's very sweet.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We, like, talk a lot, you know?
Good.
And I'm just really happy that he's happy. That brings me happiness.
Good.
For him. Because I think I feel so guilty.
Yeah.
know?
Well, and that just shows so much maturity on your end that you want him to be happy and that you've owned, you know, the heartache that you've given him and that you're able to put your kids first and have a great relationship with them. That's huge. And I know your kids are going to appreciate that so much growing up because co-parenting is not easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that sense. I'm like, okay, of everything my kids have been through, I'm just glad we're healthy in that sense.
Yeah.
You know.
So how did you meet Dakota?
Honestly, just through like Instagram. He reached out about a book. He wasn't like, of course there was like a lot of nasty men at the time because what I was known for.
Oh God, I'm sure.
So you get like
the creeps.
the creeps.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't really responding to literally anyone.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh hell no. Like you don't know people's intentions right now. They know I'm weak as fuck.
For sure.
Like
weak as fuck, hot, and put out.
That's what they think. Yeah.
Literally. They're like perfect.
Yeah. And the thing is like I met Dakota and I kind of knew him through an old friend. So I felt safe to like hang out with him.
Sure.
And so we went on a drive, just kind of talked. I was going through a really hard time that day I met him. It's kind of weird. So I said a prayer that morning, and I said, "Give me a sign," because things were still kind of messy with the person I was involved with. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, the one that you cheated on your ex-husband with.
Yes.
Oh, so you guys were still kind of chatting.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so I basically was like, I wanted out of that because I just knew it was wrong.
Was he still married?
They were the same, going through the process of divorce.
Okay.
So everyone, yeah.
Got it.
And so like I really had no friends, so that's who I like was like clinging on to for just like a friend. Mm-hmm. And
And also probably helped that even though you knew it probably wasn't right or he was toxic, whatever the case, but he knew the whole situation. So that probably helped a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you were like, you're probably like, you're the only one that was involved that understands.
yeah, well, we were both left to like
Yeah.
the wolves. No one liked us.
Yeah.
Right? And so I, he was but I just wanted out of that. I wanted out of that situation. For everything he was going through, I was just like, I prayed. I was like, please just give me a sign. Like, help me get out of this mess. Like, I need a sign. I actually got a text from him that morning, and it said, hey, like, maybe we should, like, the way he worded it was just like, let's stop, basically. Let's just let it go. And I was like, yes, let's let it go. And so I'm like, we did that, and we said that several times before, and it like never really like stuck. And so this time I was just like, I thought it was a sign of the prayer. I was like, help me. And then I got that text, and then I met Dakota that night.
Dang.
Or that evening.
Yeah.
And it was almost like God, or so, you know, like whatever you believe in. I just felt like that it was like, I'm gonna release this hand from your holding and give you to this one.
Yeah.
And to help you, and whatever that was. And I just thought it was ironic that it all happened in that same day.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew how I needed help, because I wasn't like, I couldn't just do it, be like, oh, peace out. You know, like I needed someone to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, I think, brought Dakota in my life. And then, yeah, I was very hesitant with just like in general my situation. And I instantly liked Dakota. Like, I was like, oh, I like this guy. And he was very patient and such a good guy emotionally. Like, he's very emotional, like talks about his emotions. And he made he wanted to kiss me that day, and he like made a move to kiss me. And I was just kind of like, oh,
You're
like
too soon.
yes. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I don't really like what people assume is like I like to put out, and I just don't. Like, if I don't like you, I don't want to hook up with you. Like,
yeah.
And so for me, it was like I kissed him. I was hesitant, but like I was like, I'm not gonna deny him. It's gonna be awkward. So we kissed, and like I ended up really liking him. Like, we connected really well, and so we like hung out. It was a gray month there, and that's where things kind of got messy, and he wasn't like extremely honest, and
Dakota wasn't.
yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it started kind of rocky, and then the second he asked me to be his girlfriend, I feel like that's when everything got better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything was just set in stone. I cut off, you know, everything with that whole mess.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't want anyone to be involved, like nothing. Respect for him as well, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it ended there with me, at least for, you know, that whole thing. And I've been with him ever since, and it's been really hard. But
yeah.
it's been a rocky relationship given the situation, I think. It was probably, the timing was off and too soon. But I also don't want to let him go. So it's like, what do? You know?
Yeah. And you're expecting a baby.
Yes.
A little boy.
Yes. Oh, and then I had an ectopic at that time.
Yes, which I'm so sorry about.
Thank
you. How far into dating Dakota did you guys get pregnant?
It was like 2 months. It was so soon.
And you weren't trying?
No, we weren't trying, but like,
You weren't avoiding?
yeah, I hate to admit that. But
No,
like, it's dumb.
hey.
It's like people will literally like, I know it's dumb, like 100%. But I think I was in like so much pain. You just don't care.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And yeah, I lost, and that made me, I think, 10 times more crazy because my hormones.
Yeah.
I just lost, and like topic is like really traumatic.
It's so traumatic.
Have you gone through one?
I haven't gone through one, but just being a nurse, like I've seen.
You know.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's so sad.
And I don't want to say it's like worse than a miscarriage. I just mean physically.
Yeah.
It's 7 weeks of bleeding rather than a week.
Yeah.
And I was getting blood drawn. It was torturous.
You're just
physically.
constantly reminded that you lost your baby because
Yeah.
you're bleeding out and
It's painful.
yes.
Like, I've had a chemical pregnancy as well.
Okay.
So I kind of know, like, not a full-on miscarriage, but like I kind of know the difference. And so the ectopic was really, really hard on me physically. And then emotionally after, I think I had a psychotic break.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, I feel so shitty. And
Yeah.
then, we've come a long way though.
So how far after do you think losing this baby made you realize you wanted a baby with
Yes.
Dakota?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still wanted one the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how far after losing your ectopic pregnancy did you get pregnant with your now baby boy?
A little less than a year. No. So October, and then we got pregnant that following July.
Sure.
Which is when I found out.
And your ex-husband just had a baby with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you felt pressure to have a baby with Dakota because your ex had a baby so fast? Or do you feel like it was just on your own time and that you realized after losing that last baby that you just wanted a baby with Dakota?
Yeah. So a lot of people do think that like, oh, she had to like do that because of her ex did that. And no, not at all. We got, so we got pregnant back in October, which, that was very soon. And then I had a chemical pregnancy in between that. To be honest, I think I had more than one, but I only tested and I got one that I knew was a chemical pregnancy. And then I did, I found out he was. And so that whole time we weren't trying, but we weren't like protecting, So technically it would have maybe happened even before him, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So no, it wasn't like anything to do with him and his life. And there's no competition there because I'm so happy for him,
Good. Yeah.
Whatever he decided to do, like there was no, I want to up on you,
Of course.
Like I just wanted him to be happy. But I know a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
So.
I was just genuinely curious, but after hearing, even before we started this, like, you talking about your co-parenting, like it seems like it's going so well, which is amazing and so healthy and great for your kids. So you went to jail.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I
Forgot about
will
that
be
story.
totally honest with you. I don't even know that situation. If you're comfortable walking through what happened.
Yes. My mom's podcast was the first one I actually talked about it at all. For legal purposes, I was advised not to.
Sure.
That was another very traumatic night of my life that I'll never, I was blacked out for most of it. But what I do remember, waking up in jail was the worst day of my life.
When was this, by the way?
February of this year.
Okay.
February 17th, to be exact.
Okay.
To sum it up, like I came home from a party. I was super drunk. I was struggling. I think I might have had my chemical pregnancy around that time. So my hormones, again, are whack. And people underestimate hormones. Like, I mean, unless you're, like, familiar with it, which I'm sure you are as being a nurse, and, like, miscarriages, pregnancies, women, like, but men don't know the extent of it. Like,
No.
They make you crazy.
Yeah.
And it's uncontrollable. That's why you have to get tested after you give birth to see if you're okay. Like, you go through depressions. And so I was, like, really, really struggling at that time. And I wanted, again, to numb. And so I went and drank, and I came home, and I was feeling all my pain that I was, like, because it lets that guard down when you're drunk.
Sure.
And so you're like,
You have no filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're finally going to feel it. And it fucking hurt. Like, everything, I was, like, hurting.
Yeah.
And so it started with sadness. I was crying to Dakota, like, hysterically bawling that I was so sorry for everything I've done to not only him, but my ex, my life, everything. I was, like, hysterically bawling. I remember that. We get home, and it turns to anger. Like, full-on anger. Like, I was a different person. Like, and I went crazy. I was throwing things.
And this was in your house with Dakota?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I didn't know my daughter was downstairs on the couch. They're usually in their beds when I'm home. We had a babysitter. I came home, and she was on the couch, and I was throwing stuff. And so I threw a chair towards him. And
At Dakota?
yeah.
Okay.
And so I was charged with child abuse because, like, it could have hurt her. And so in the state of Utah, I don't know other states if they have it, but it's called reckless child abuse, meaning, like, if you throw something and it possibly did hit your kid or it hit your kid, that's called reckless child abuse. So it kind of sucks because, like, one of the the cops came to my house, and he was like, investigator. He was like, it sucks because if you're cleaning your closet, you throw your shoe out, it hits your kid in the bloody nose, you can get child abuse for that.
Yeah.
He's like, and it sucks because you didn't really mean to, And that's why it was reckless. All of those charges were dropped, but I got so many because my son was upstairs. It still counts because he was in the house as a charge.
But it didn't hit your daughter?
No.
Who called the police?
Our neighbor.
Oh.
Because she thought I needed help. I was screaming so much. And so she's like, I think she needs help over there. Like, and he was trying to calm me down. And I was just, like, throwing everything. I was so angry. And I was like, I mean, as we all know, like, I was trying to attack him. And I assaulted him. And I put, like, I took it all out on him. And so.
Like, you physically assaulted him?
Yeah. And I did get, like, I got charged with that. Right now, I'm, like, on probation. So in the state of Utah, like, it's an abeyance. So if I do everything right and I don't get in trouble again, it falls off.
Okay.
And then all child abuse charges were dropped. Everything else was dropped. So that was like a horrible, horrible time. And
So they came, investigated, and then they took you to jail.
yeah. Because there was enough evidence there that I was like the aggressor.
Damn.
Yeah, and I was like, I was, and so they took me to jail. I like started to like sober up as soon as I got to jail. The worst part of it though is like, I was blacked out for so much of it that I can't even like fess up to like everything I did. Like I wouldn't even be able to like tell you what I did exactly. Besides like he tells me what I did, you know?
Yeah.
And that sucks. I got to jail. I was dressed up as a man the whole time, which is so embarrassing because I went to a party that dressed up as like your type or your ex. It was something like your type. And so I had like facial hair.
In jail? You had pretend facial hair in jail?
Yeah, I had it that whole night. And then I ended up in jail. And so I have facial hair on. I have all men clothes on. And I'm just like, I wake up and I'm just like, what just happened? Like, I knew, but at the same time, I'm like, it's all very blurry. I'm embarrassed. They're taking my mugshot. Jail was really scary. Like,
I can't even imagine.
it's so cold.
Yeah. And stale, probably.
Yeah. And like when you go to the bathroom, like anyone can like walk in. Like there were so many men in there.
Oh my God.
And so I was like trying to pee and I was scared like someone was going to come in because you can't lock it.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I'm like coming like down from, I was like hungover.
Yeah.
So I was so sick. And then everyone like got let go because they were there for like, I guess DUIs. Like they were just letting people go. Like I was like, what the heck? Like, and I was still there and I was the last person in the whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I really fucked up. And so they get me dressed and I go in a cell with someone. And I'm like so scared because I've obviously never been in trouble. And I asked this girl, I'm like, so like, do you think we'll like get let out? And I was like asking her and she's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, what are you in here for?
Oh.
And she was like, well, the cop, said I tried to run him over. And I was like, have you been in here before? And she's like, yeah. Well, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're like, it's my first time.
Yeah, and I was so scared. She's like, you'll be okay. She actually made me feel really like
Oh.
better.
Like comforted a little bit.
Yeah, and the people around them were really nice to me. They could just tell I was so scared. Like I was just like, oh my gosh. And so it finally got they let me out.
So it was, you spent one night?
Well, total of like 8 hours, I think.
Okay.
So felt like forever.
Probably felt like eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I like went home. I couldn't talk to Dakota because there was like what is it called? Not a restraining order, but something like that.
Yeah.
I think a less.
Where like the parties can't talk to each other probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even apologize. I'm over here, like feeling so shitty. I can't see my daughter either. That's where it was really hard.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see her for a month. And that was
Your daughter?
Yeah. And that was the worst part of it all for me. And then I didn't see my son for 2 weeks.
Dang.
'Cause
Were they
they-
with their dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was the worst month of my life. I remember being in bed every day, like so depressed. And then I'm seeing the entire internet,
Rip you apart.
rip me apart. And so you're an abuser, you're this, you're that. And I was just like, I wanted to die. When I say I wanted to die, I wanted to die. Like, if I didn't have kids, I think I full on would have, like, committed suicide. Like, that's how I felt. But I knew I had to be there for my kids. Like, I was like, I just fucked up. Like, you need to clean your shit and, like, do this for your children.
Yeah.
And so, like, it wasn't an option because of my children. And, like, when that release was lifted with our, our attorneys, like, Dakota ended up coming over and we, like, talked. And he just, like, held me. And he's like, we're going to get through this. And for him to, like, stand by me during all of that was, incredible. And I felt very loved. But I think he knew, like, it wasn't extremely personal. Like, he knew I freaked out for all these other reasons. And yes, he ended up being, the punching bag for it. But, like, he understood because he's been so low before that he gets it. He's like, I've been in your shoes and people held on to me. So
yeah.
I want to be here for you. And he's like, I love you. Like, I love you so much. And so I was very thankful that, like, he stayed by me. Like, not that he was getting to shreds for staying with me, you know?
Yeah.
And judged. And so kudos for him for doing that, because that, you know, he didn't have to do that. And yeah, every day was horrible because I didn't see my daughter. I was like, I'm never seeing my kids again. Like, this is awful. And chances are you can go back to jail, right? During all that process.
Yeah.
It's like, I could end up in jail, actually. And so I was like terrified. And so I immediately got into all like help, therapy, EMDR, got on medication, took all my classes. Like, I was just like, I need to change, like, for my kids, you know? And I should have done that all before. Like, that should have been, you know, done prior to all of this. But it took, I think, hitting rock bottom to, like, realize that.
Yeah. And so now where you're at is you can't drink.
No, that's part of my, like, probation
Sure.
rules.
How long is your probation?
So they set it for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah. Which I was told that the state went really hard on me because I'm, like, more in the public eye.
Oh, really?
Which really sucks because, like...
Using you as an example, pretty much.
Yes. Because apparently, like, people are like, I've done way worse than what you did, and I didn't even get, like, anything.
I thought it would be, like, maybe 6 months. I didn't realize
That's
it would
what
be
my
3
attorney
years.
said. He's like, it will probably be 6 months to a year. And when he was told 3 years, he's like, holy shit, like, they're going hard on you. And so, I've never done any of this before, so I was like, I didn't know what to expect. And so, but it could be cut down if I do everything right.
Sure.
I'm good. I'm changing. My probation officer checks in, and she's amazing. And yeah, if I just do good, then it could be like cut in half, or I don't know how that works.
So, what's your other limitations for probation besides not being able to drink?
Yeah, no drinking, so I can't go to a bar.
Okay.
Like anything that is mostly sold like alcohol, like obviously can't be caught in a liquor store. I could still like go to restaurants or like a bowling alley, like anywhere, like, but not anywhere like alcohol is the main thing sold.
Okay.
I can go everywhere else. And then what else can I do? Oh, like being on probation, you can't have like a gun in the house.
Oh, no weapons.
So no weapons at
Okay.
all, like pocket knives, like
Sure.
stuff like that. And then obviously not to ever get in trouble again or a fight. Like, yeah, I can't get in any fights. Not that I think I ever would, because I'm not an aggressive person at all. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I can't do, as far as I know. Yeah.
This is so random, but kind of has to do with alcohol. I've never been to Utah before. I've never been in a grocery store that does not sell alcohol.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
It is.
The fact that you like have to go to an actual liquor store, like it's the 50s.
But see, we wouldn't know any different,
I know.
which is so weird because I think.
I go into Target to buy my wine, like on a weekly basis.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everywhere. Target, Walmart, any grocery store, any like Walgreens, even like pharmacy, everywhere sells alcohol. Which is wild to me because obviously Utah is very LDS, like prominent. What am I trying to say? And Arizona is as well.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of wild, like the difference between.
The laws.
Yeah.
I know.
It's kind of nuts.
I know, and I think even at restaurants, like you have to like buy food to get the alcohol too.
Really?
If it's not just a bar.
In Arizona, I'm like, can I get a shot of tequila? Please?
Yes. Yeah, they have a lot of like strict rules here with that.
Yeah, it's just nuts because I'm like, I've never been here. I'm driving around. I'm like, where can I buy a bottle of wine? Cause
Yeah, and then like the alcohol store, which is I think closed on Sundays.
yeah, that's the other thing too. Is I'm like, why is everything here like Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Everything's closed on Sundays.
Yes,
So-
don't come here on a Sunday.
Yeah. So speaking of that, are you so active in the Mormon Church?
Yeah. Oh, I don't go like all the time. So like yes and no. And I think we all know that I don't follow the rules of it. And I was like kind of telling you this earlier, but I just like to go to church and feel good.
Yeah.
Go, feel good and leave. And I don't agree with everything, you know, and people are like, why don't you just go to another church? And it's like, well, this is where I feel comfortable. I enjoy going.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would I have to change because if someone else thinks I have to? Like,
Sure.
no, but even if I didn't, even if I wasn't part of the LDS church, I think I'd be part of some church.
And
Just, like,
you,
going.
yeah, we talked about this before, but I feel like it's just faith is a very personal, intimate thing. It doesn't matter what religion or where you're attending church, but it's something that makes you feel good and welcome, and it gives you a community going through a hard time.
Yeah.
Were you born and raised LDS?
Yes.
Wow.
Dakota was too.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have like grew up with the same values, but we're both the bad kids of the family,
I'm dead.
which is funny because like,
You're like, sorry, Mom.
yeah, and his family kind of, they get him too because they know that he's like the wild child, and so they're very welcoming with me, which was also another shock because I was like, ugh.
No, that's
What do
amazing.
your parents think of me? Like and they're so loving
Good.
and welcoming, and they're like, I was shocked with that even after the whole incident with Jill. Like I was like, I literally apologized to his mom. I was like, I'm so sorry, like, for what I did. And she's very like forgiving, and she's like, we all go through hard times, and like, was just so loving. And I was like in shock from
That's
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I also think it takes a lot for you to be able to speak to someone that, still in a newer relationship,
Yeah.
talk to his mom.
It was uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
I was scared.
Oh, I'm
'cause his mom's
sure.
an awesome badass girl. She's a badass.
Yeah.
And so she was like very like says what she feels and stuff. So I was like so scared to tell her I'm sorry. Like I was just ready for it, for whatever she was gonna tell me, which she was justified, and like she could have went through that a different way, right? But she was so kind and loving. So
Good.
I love his family there. They're awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he seems great with the kids. Like when I walked in, he was being so cute with your son.
He's a natural. He'll be an amazing dad. And that's something I can confidently say about him is that he'll be a natural with kids. And that's something he's been so good at from the very start, was like patient with like everything he's been through. I don't think any other man would have stayed and been like, he's like, he takes us out to dinner all the time. And he's not paying for me. He's paying for 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
And he takes us to do fun stuff. And he comes home with snacks and dinners and treats. And I'm like, and then sometimes I'm like, I'm going through so much and I'm so crazy and I'm like a bitch, and like he's just so nice, and he's still there, and he's like cleaning my house, and I'm like, I don't deserve him, but like God like knew exactly what person I think to like put in my life. He's like, I'm gonna put someone that's gonna be able to handle you and what you're going through and to stick by your side. So I don't know, I think he picked someone that went through shit and was like patient with me.
That's amazing.
So
well, all those qualities are so important, not just as a spouse or a partner, but as a father. And it sounds like he's been through a lot too, and I think you guys can relate to each other in that. And you've also right off the bat went through so much shit together that it's like we're only going up from here, right? And
that's what he says. He's like, if we can get through this,
it's true,
I think we can get through a lot of things.
So do you think you'll get married?
Yes, eventually. That's another very frequent question, and they're like, why are you having a baby if you don't want to get married? I'm like, as they say it like that, but it just like annoys me every time.
Every time I read a hate comment, that's the exact voice I read in my head, so I feel you.
So that's what you guys sound like. No, but I'm just like, why does it matter? I mean, we're in 2020, almost 2024. We're almost there, guys.
I think we're okay. Everyone knows everyone has sex, and guess what happens when you have sex? You can get pregnant. It's okay. And
you don't have to follow, there's no, some people, yes, I did Q&A, like there's no like order we have to do it in, I'm not exactly ready, and I've been very honest about that, like just not there yet. And then 2, I don't want to have get married and have a baby all in the same year. That's too chaotic for me. Like no. But yes, I eventually want to get remarried, but I kind of want to like do a lot of self-help too, so I'm ready for that commitment and to be the best wife I can be.
And it also, that again shows your growth and maturity, and also how much you care and love for Dakota to make sure you're the best version of yourself before you can fully give yourself and commit to a marriage to him. That's a big deal.
Right, because a lot of us in the Utah culture would be like, let's hurry and get married before they know like we're pregnant.
Totally.
Let's be engaged. It's not that bad. It's like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, I don't want to yet, so I'm not going to.
And it's no one else's journey in life but yours.
Sorry to all the parents listening. I'm sure my parents are listening.
No, we're an unfiltered type of podcast here. So going back a little bit to the swinger situation, because there's a question I realized I had. I know that there's people that were very heavily involved in this situation that have still constantly denied their involvement. What's your opinion on that?
To each their own. And whatever. It's to each their own would be my opinion. Like there's nothing I can do. I feel like I don't know how they're okay in their marriage and trusting, and how that works. That has been my number one question, is like, don't you ever sit there and think at night, like, there was just so many things, like, did he do this, or are we okay? It's like almost like they denied all of it, like everything that happened too. And but I mean, if they're happy and they're great, then great. Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I just hope that, like, I don't know how you heal from something if you can't even, like, face it.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, because that's still traumatic. Like, regardless of, like, the extent of the involvement, whether you were just playing these dirty games or you went full on, like, it's still messy, and everything we all went through together, right, from the internet. It's still traumatic. So I'm like, maybe they healed quietly and on their own and they're doing great. But if they never faced it, I don't know how you heal from denying it.
Yeah. And I also think it's just one of those things where no one planned for it to be public.
Yeah.
But when stuff gets released and they're trying to protect themselves, they're going to jump on the easiest target they can. And you were the only name mentioned. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, like, hope they're doing well and wish them the best. And you're healing and moving on and doing great.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest lessons that you've learned this year?
I think something I struggled with the most was to feel the pain, and to accept what happened. Like, I'm still to this day. Something I've never said on a podcast, actually, I'll say on yours, is like, it has extremely fucked me up.
Yeah.
In so many ways. Like, this whole situation, I have been on bathroom floors crying and throwing up, and awful times of, like, being so sick and feeling it. Like, it's almost, I think that's why I worry for all those people. Like, you need to feel what happened and to let all the pain in, to, like, let it release. Because I've just denied it a lot of the time. This didn't happen. I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. This is fine. This wasn't a lighthearted thing. Like, it wasn't. It was messy. It was divorce. It was public. I got bullied. Like, I've been through so much, almost where I'm like, I took it lightheartedly, and it's just not lighthearted. Like my therapist is like, you've been through so much traumatic shit. Like, I don't even know if you've realized, but everything you went through, like, everything on top of each other. And so my lesson or, like, advice to people would be, like, when you go through something hard, it's okay to feel it, and it's going to be very painful.
Yeah.
And you're going to be wherever you are, probably on the floor, like, hysterically crying and feeling like there's no hope at the end of the tunnel, but there is. And that's been cool to see, is, like, I can tell my healing and growth because of how I want all those other people to be happy. At first I was like, I hate you. I hope you're suffering like me. I hope I was so angry that everyone went on with their lives and didn't have to go through this pain. And so I was so hateful. I was like, oh, I just want you guys to feel what I'm feeling, you know? And it's not that way anymore. Like, I feel like a lot of peace, I think, because I've had peace in myself. And that's how you know you're growing and healing, is when you want others to be happy and thrive. Because hurt people.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I think I was so hateful back then, is because I had so much anger and hate in me. And I think there's some awful days still. But overall, it's, like, been really good. And also something I've learned is just to communicate and be honest. Because lying didn't get us anywhere, didn't get me anywhere, but a huge mess, you know? And so even if it's uncomfortable, just come clean and say it, because one, it's like showing your character of who you are, you know? I think you can make a mistake and learn from it, but if you're going to do that over and over and over, I think that's just maybe who you are then, you know?
Yeah.
And I think mistakes don't define, you know, who you are, and I agree with that. But I think if I were to keep cheating, right, and keep doing these horrible things and being a bad mom and ending up in jail, I don't think I'd be a good person.
Yeah. And I also think, I love what you said about, like, feeling those feelings and that trauma, because you can't mask what you went through with something else, like try to cover it up or suppress it. And I think that shows a lot about your growth and the type of person you are, because you worked so hard, you know, to move on and grow individually to be the best version of yourself, the best mom, the best partner, the best co-parent. And that's huge. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, it's been a process, and healing, I think a lot of people think it's getting better, and that's just not how it is. It's doing a little better, having an awful day, and thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't progressed at all. Like, sometimes I think that, I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere. Then you wake up and you're like, okay, we're doing a little better. Like, it's just very like wavy, and that people need to understand healing is actually really hard and ugly.
Yeah. And I know you get so much hate, like to the point where I feel like everyone on social media gets hate, but yours is like another level. But I think you have a lot of people, including myself, that have watched your journey and that just feel proud of you and see your growth. And I think you should be really proud of yourself because you have gone through so much shit this year, but you've also grown so much.
Yeah.
And your kids are so lucky that they're going to get the best version of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And sometimes I hope that there is a reason, right? Like that I went through all this, whether it was my decision or things happen, you know, just naturally, and to maybe help people someday and to like have empathy. It's taught me a lot of empathy. Like when I see people like they're in, you know, in handcuffs or this or that, and it's like, oh, I just hope they get help.
Yeah.
You know, you feel for them instead of judging me like,
yes,
what did you do? You know,
yeah.
It's more like, oh man, that sucks. I've been there.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like that's like the best lesson to have is the fact that
go through it.
You have to go through it, and you just get a whole different perspective about the world.
Yeah.
And a whole different appreciation just to be like, I'm so happy to be able to be with my kids every day.
Yeah.
You know, because there was a time where I couldn't even see my daughter for a month.
Yep. And I literally think that all the time. I'm like, I had to do homework with you. Like something so small that people forget because you don't know what it's like. People don't know what it's like. And I hope they never know that's the worst pain ever. So I wish that upon no one. But like, yes, I cherish those little moments. Or I'll just be laying with my son. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yes. Because when you didn't have them, I felt like I was never going to see him again. Yeah. It was weird. It was horrible. But
well, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for opening
Sorry, I was an
up.
earful. You're probably like,
oh my
I
gosh.
need to go to therapy now.
No, this is the reason I wanted you on because I knew you were going to keep it so honest and real with me. And so I so appreciate that.
Yeah.
So thanks for being on. Cheers.
Thank
we didn't
you.
even cheers in the beginning, by the way.
I didn't know if we had to. Like,
No,
like,
we're good. We're cheersing now. Cheers. Thank you
Cheers.
so much for being here.
Thank you.